Welcome back, fight fans. This video is brought to you by AB Combat. Trash talking is one hell of a way to sell a fight, but when the cage doors close, you'd better be prepared to back up every word. And for this video, we're going to take a look at the very dedicated trash talkers who are made to look foolish on fight night. Here are 10 times trash talking backfired in the UFC. Alexander Hernandez versus Donald Cerrone. Sometimes it's smart to pick your battles when you're a rising fighter, but for Alexander Hernandez, he decided to make himself public enemy number one when he made the mistake of attacking Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone in the lead up to their fight. Not only did he disrespect a legend of the game by doing so, but he also angered the entire sports fan base. Win, lose, or draw, Hernandez was already making himself look bad. Little did he know that he would also awaken the beast inside Donald Cerrone. On fight night, Cowboy well and truly beat the brakes off him, eventually landing a signature head kick for the TKO finish in round 2. James Vick versus Justin Gaethje. Another lightweight prospect who made the mistake of disrespecting a fan favorite was James Vick. After the great Justin Gaethje dropped 2 fights in a row to Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez, Vick saw himself as the perfect guy to take out this former World Series of Fighting champion. He trash-talked the highlight relentlessly, calling him the Homer Simpson of MMA, before promising to shut his lights out. Thankfully, Gaethje was far from done as a high-level talent, and on fight night, he stalked Vick with some real purpose, eventually hammering his chin with a massive overhand shot, scoring the first-round KO to put his name back into the win column.
Big right from Gaethje, and down goes Vick!
A huge win for Gaethje, but for Vick, the beginning of an ugly decline.
Bonus is
you're a can crusher. You're a can crusher, bro. You padded your record again. You're gonna get slept. You're gonna get knocked out within 3 rounds for sure.
Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva. Look, Chael Sonnen backed up damn near every word of his relentless trash talking ahead of his first fight with Anderson Silva. But when their rematch came, the American gangster was made to look quite foolish. Despite being favored to really make a dent on the spider, once again, a frankly ridiculous attempt at a spinning back fist was easily ducked by Anderson. This caused Chael to trip over himself, falling to the canvas. After this monumental mistake, Silva was able to move in and quickly TKO Chael, ending their rivalry and defending his title in the process. Paulo Costa versus Israel Adesanya. Paulo Costa is actually a pretty solid trash talker, or at the very least, he's a funny presence within the MMA world, and when he received his first and only shot at UFC Gold, he did his utmost to try and rattle the champion, Israel Adesanya. Borrachina was definitely the aggressor in these exchanges, promising that his power would be too much for Izzy on fight night. So what happened when the bout began? Well, Costa had absolutely no answer for Adesanya's technical striking. In fact, he basically froze up in the face of Stylebender's constant feints and calf kicks before getting TKO'd in the second round. A complete and utter mismatch.
Smashing him with hammer fist, very similar to the finish against Robert Whittaker here in the way that they end up in this awkward position.
Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman. Sign on the dotted line to fight Colby Covington, and you just know that he's not going to play nice. And sure enough, Kamaru Usman was made to listen to some of the corniest, but also most memorable trash talk he had ever experienced firsthand. Colby had a motor mouth that just would not relent. And don't get us wrong, Usman fired back his fair share, and by the time fight night came, it was clear that these two were just dying to get a hold of each other. So when Kamaru managed to break Covington's jaw for the TKO finish, yeah, that must have been sweet.
And look at the second one. Boom! Now Usman's seeing everything now.
Cody Garbrandt versus TJ Dillashaw. Not only did TJ Dillashaw have his character called into question by Cody Garbrandt and the members of his old gym team, Alpha Male, but things actually got pretty physical between these guys on more than one occasion. You all know the whole snake in the grass story, but by the time these two fought, the fight had taken on some very personal weight. Dillashaw would manage to earn a pair of very sweet knockout wins over No Love, though, sparking him in the second round at Madison Square Garden, before then getting a KO in the first to defend his title, an emphatic pair of statement victories. Luke Rockhold versus Michael Bisping. This one is all kinds of funny. Look, Luke Rockhold had every right to be confident in his abilities. He had already easily finished Michael Bisping before they rematched for the belt. But to say that he underestimated Bisping coming into their UFC 199 headliner would be putting it lightly. He acted like the Count wasn't fit to share the same cage as him, and for the opening few minutes of their fight, he fought like he truly believed it. So when Bisping caught him napping with a clean left hook and finished him, it was all kinds of shocking, an all-time great piece of trash-talking comeuppance.
You just said I can't compete. I just knocked you out in the first round. Cold. Have you seen that replay, buddy? Your head was bouncing around like a pinball machine.
Daniel Cormier versus Jon Jones. Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier had a beef that went far beyond a personality clash or a desire to promote. No, these two guys seemed to genuinely hate each other. And after Bones was stripped of his title due to his own actions, DC managed to rise up and become a champion in his absence. This gave him enough confidence to meet Jon head-on with the trash talking. And even in the middle of their UFC 214 rematch, Cormier had a swagger to him as he taunted Jon mid-fight, calling on him to hit him. Well, as it turned out, Jones had the perfect weapon, and in the later stages of round 3, he uncorked a massive head kick on Cormier to set up one of the most brutal finishing sequences you'll ever see. DC is a great fighter, but Jones clearly had his number.
You know what's the beauty in me being the competitor I am? I forgot about that. I'm about to whip your punk ass. Oh, you forgot?
Ben Askren versus Jorge Masvidal. Speaking of personality clashes, how about Ben Askren and Jorge Masvidal? You couldn't find a pair of greater polar opposites, and in the trash-talking exchanges, it showed. Askren did everything in his power to demean Masvidal's intelligence, belittling him from day one.
His muscles aren't very big and his beard's pretty ugly. But besides that, I think it's going to be total domination.
Unfortunately, when the fight began, Jorge had a secret weapon. And after noting his opponent's tendency to shoot for the early takedown, he unloaded the perfect flying knee, finding Ben's chin for the fastest KO in UFC history at a measly 5 seconds. A total embarrassment. Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. And finally, you all knew that it would make an appearance eventually. Conor McGregor ruthless trash-talking of Khabib Nurmagomedov crossed lines relating to family, culture, religion, and more. And while Khabib is generally a very chilled-out guy, it didn't take long for Conor's words to get to him.
Without everybody. Why you don't send it? We're gonna fight.
Unfortunately for McGregor, getting under Nurmagomedov's skin successfully didn't result in any lack of ability in the cage. No, Khabib well and truly dominated the Irishman for 4 rounds before submitting him with a neck crank. But his greatest statement would come when he decided to vault himself over the side of the cage, attacking Conor's team as well. The ultimate revenge for all that McGregor had said and done. The lesson? Don't mess with these D'Agostini dudes. They're just built different. Thanks for watching, fight fans. We'll be back soon.